Hello everyone, my name is Roya and I'm actually going to take a quick moment to introduce iPod, or reintroduce iPod, as some of you may remember her from my very early booktube videos. So iPod here was living with a friend of ours and she just got kicked out. So we took her, since my fiance is technically her real owner. But the dogs and the landlords are probably not going to let us keep her. Until we find a friend who can take her, I am going to make sure that she gets plenty of camera time, as long as she doesn't get too mad at me, but oh well. But anyway, I'm going to share with you today the books that I have read so far in October. Obviously I'm going on tour starting the 19th, so I won't be like posting anything for like 10 days until I get back. And this video is probably going up like a few days after I film it, so I will probably have finished more books by the time it goes up. But for now, these are the first 5 books that I finished in the month of October. Plus a 6th one that I DNF'd because I've now officially DNF'd Acorna's Quest by Anne McCaffrey, which is way too bad because I love Acorna. It is such a good book. I still highly recommend it, but I really feel like it's, like, I don't know what it is about sci-fi books that can function just fine as a standalone, turning out like mostly mediocre sequels. Because I feel like Ender's Game did that, Dune did that, and now I feel like Acorna did that as well, where Acorna can function perfectly fine as a standalone. It doesn't really need to be a series, but this book is the second one, and it was just so boring that I just could not even finish the last 100 pages. Basically, this follows what happens once Acorna's people, the alien species that she came from, make contact with the humans. And really draggy, nothing really happens in this entire book. And then what's super weird is that like a dude from Acorna's species like comes planetside, and all these people think that he's Acorna. Even people who know Acorna think that this other dude is Acorna. And so they're like, well, hey, Acorna, why can't you speak English anymore? What's up with that? And I just couldn't get behind that, because even though, like, obviously species blindness is a thing, like sharks probably all look at us and think we all look the same, so we think that, like, all sharks look the same, or whatever it is. But I still find it just way too far-fetched that that many people throughout the entire book would mistake a different person for Acorna, even when they, like, know her. So there was just a lot of stuff like that in there that just made no sense to me. And overall, this whole book was just really too boring, so I couldn't finish it. But you still need to read Acorna. You guys, I still recommend Acorna, the first book. It is so good, you should totally still read it. The first book that I actually finished during October is The Last of the Firedrakes by Farah Oomerbhoy. So this book is one that I got from booktube tours for free in exchange for an honest review, which I will be posting on the 18th, so keep an eye out for that. So there is also a giveaway. I don't know if you can hear the dogs out there. They are scratching at the door like crazy pooches. But anyway, so there's a giveaway for this book. I will leave all the information for that down below. So you should totally go and check it out if you want to win a copy of this beautiful, nice, shiny book. So basically this book is about a girl named Aurora who is an orphan, and she just has a pretty horrible life, and then she ends up going into a fantasy world called Avalonia, and she finds out there that she is a princess in Avalonia. She is the rightful heir to the throne, and she has to get rid of her aunt who usurped the throne and killed her parents. So this book was really good. I had a really great time reading it, but I thought that the beginning of it was pretty much the weakest part, and I will go over my issues with that in my review. Mostly a lot of stuff about the very beginning fell a little bit flat. It reminded me too much of Harry Potter and too much of the Looking Glass Wars, but basically though, Once it gets to the part where she gets to Avalonia, it makes a little bit more sense, and it starts, like, I feel like the real story didn't start until at least a third of the way into the book, because before that, it's like there's about a couple chapters of like her in the real world that isn't even really needed that much. Overall, I had a really fun time reading this book. I could barely put it down, and you guys should totally check out my review for that when it goes up. The next book that I finished during October is one that I don't have with me, and that is Blood Memories by Barb Hendy, and that is the first in a vampire series by the same author of The Noble Dead and the Misttorn Witches, which I have talked about a lot on this channel. Blood Memories is about some vampires in Portland in today's world. And basically, I felt like Blood Memories is a pretty good book, but I think that Barb Hendy has a thing about putting way too many different people's backstories into the book, so that most of the book ends up being backstories. And so I feel like since this was the first in a series, I don't feel like the rest of the series is going to necessarily be like that. But I felt like we didn't really get enough time with each of the characters and whatnot, because we just heard about each of their backstories more than the conflict that was actually going on. Next, I read The Perfectionists and the Good Girls by Sarah Shepard. And this duology follows 5 girls who really have nothing in common, but they find out that they all hate the same dude. So they come up with a plan to kill him, and decide not to go through with it. They decide to just prank him instead, but then he ends up dead in the exact same way that they had planned, but they didn't do it. So they have to find out who did before they have to take the fall for, like, something that they didn't do, basically. So I found out about this from Trina from Between Chapters, and it already sounded really good from how she was describing it, but then when she mentioned that there's a Korean main character and an Iranian main character, I was like, okay, that sells me on it. Like, I need to read it now. Because anything with an Iranian main character in it, like, I mean, I'm Persian as well, so I was like, dude, that is freaking rad, so I just had to read it. But, so this was a really, really good duology. I had a lot of fun reading it. It was so suspenseful. I liked the first one a little bit more than the second one, because in the first one you really have no idea what's going on, and it's just way more gripping. The second one, I was also not a fan of the twist and what the actual outcome ended up being, because I actually called that twist pretty early in the second book, and I kept thinking to myself, okay, I really hope that's not the twist. Please don't be the twist. Please have something else be going on that's not what I'm thinking is going on. But then it was. So I was like, oh, damn it, why? I highly recommend this duology for anybody who is looking for, like, something that's kind of a creepy read for Halloween, but also not really. Like, you can still sleep at night. You know what I mean? And finally, I read another book that I don't have with me, and that is The Haunting of Hill House by whoever it's by. Shirley Jackson? Is that who it's by? I think it is. So anyway, this follows a group of 4 different people who go into a haunted house called Hill House that is pretty much known to be haunted, and they are going in there, like, looking for supernatural elements and kind of trying to, like, one of them is a doctor and he's trying to write a book about it. He's trying to measure, like, find some way to, like, analyze the supernatural goings-on in Hill House. So basically, so I felt like this book is pretty dated. Like, I mean, it's from the 50s at least, I think, and so the storytelling is done in kind of a dated way. So we didn't get a whole lot of character depth or anything. The real story doesn't quite start until about page 70, when we start learning about what the history behind Hill House actually is and why it's haunted and who is haunting it. One of the people who is in the house is a girl whose mother recently died, and she's basically wasted her entire, like, adult life so far caring for her ailing mother, and so now that her mother is dead, she's finally her own person. And the house kind of makes her crazy, And so that's most of what happens. So I feel like I would have enjoyed this book a lot more, like not reading it in the hopes of something creepy happening, you know what I mean? And actually taking into account a lot more of the symbolism um, and all of that, because there definitely wasn't enough ghost activity as I was hoping for. So anyway, those are the books that I read in the first half of October. Actually, it's not even the first half, it's like the first third. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments and what you thought. And I will see you soon with a new video. Bye!